Hi, my name is Ray Hanna, and I am the director of the border, and also I represent RimoVision Group, a non-profit theater company that is supporting and presenting this production to you. The reason I joined this production is because my organization, RimoVision Group, believe in providing support, backing, opportunity, venues for people to tell their stories. Playwrights, artists, everybody has a story to be told, important narrative, and that specific narrative in the border is an important one. And I believe it really needs to be heard, because where technically the story is happening and where the real events are taking place, people can't talk much about that problem.
Hello, my name is Sergei Davydov. I'm a playwright and I'm an author of the play The Border. I'm really grateful Hollywood Fringe and all future viewers for desire to hear this text. I've written so many texts for theater in my career, but I will be honest, for me, The Border, it's the most difficult text in my career because it's a text about my personal catastrophe and catastrophe of million people. But from another side, it's a text about love and forgiveness for me. I think that when you have power to talk about pain and sorrow, you win. So I'm grateful and see you soon.
Hi guys, I'm Misha Suvorov and I'm truly honored and blessed to be the part of the Border production by RimoVision Group and Echo Dimovka for Hollywood Fringe Festival. But I'm also really scared and horrified by the simple fact that we have to do this here on American soil. Not even to support the anti-war voice in Russia, but just to try to preserve it. Because those voices, those 25% of the nation, at least by the polls, but you can double it just because of how many people are not only scared to speak up, but they're just scared to think. Because people get incarcerated, prosecuted, poisoned, murdered for their anti-war stance, for speaking against what Russia is doing to itself and to its neighbors, to the Ukraine. It's really horrifying because it's an animal farm in 1984 by George Orwell coming true right now in Russia. And it's for triumph of evil, it's enough for good people not to take an action. And I am good people, and I'm taking an action.
Strange. Trying to say something when 25% of the nation is stripped of 75% of the words and have to replace most important with asterisks. But words are our last remaining power. So I shall not give it up. My mother lives on the border where bombs fall. She had a heart attack when I told her over the phone that all this happening is an international crime. That silence equals complicity. That I bought a ticket to a plane to Tajikistan because it's not safe for me to stay in Russia anymore. That same moment, she collapsed on her kitchen floor. She came around several hours later, managed to call an ambulance. She wouldn't pick up the phone for 2 days. And when she finally did, she was weeping and saying that I had killed her. This is what she wrote to me, word for word. You're not hearing what I'm saying. For 15 years, I've been trying to get through to you. And all these 15 years, you've been pushing me away. I have not a single sound piece of heart or soul left in my body. Just one large wound. I cannot stop worrying about you. I'm scared. For you are stubbornly and obstinately are pushing yourself towards the edge of the abyss. Common sense has left you completely. And I don't know how to help you. What I do know for sure is that I'm not going to tolerate and participate in your self-destruction. Think again. Who is waiting for you in a foreign country with no money, no job, and no shelter? My heart cannot handle such pain. My heart is covered with scars. Do you realize it's a one-way ticket? You cannot run away from yourself. And fear is not the best advisor. Forget me. Stop calling. I cannot talk to you anymore. She said it, and then immediately added that this conversation chat must be deleted, as it's dangerous to keep it. And it's best to remove WhatsApp entirely from your phone. I thought, it's like as if scars are safer than words. They can be easily hidden. It's like as if words are scarier than an actual human's death. When the war began, I was begging Mom to move to my place. She used to say, "I'm not going to leave my home." She added, "There are pros and cons in each situation, and you need to always look for the pros. I've been telling you for 10 years now to master a lucrative job that earns money, a real job that's in high demand. And the time has finally come." I returned, "Oh, yeah? Coal miners working for pennies, stormtroopers, and hookers are in high demand now." She replied, "What's your attitude? Miner is a perfectly fine job for a man." "My lord," she'd add, as if it's the first time, "how many international conflicts have happened in the past? How many times have Russians been intimidated before the SMO? But the West is never going to break economic ties with us. They're waving their fists, but it's the part of the game. It's called geopolitics." Well, Mom, maybe so, but now, before the war, does not mean 1941. It means yesterday or the day before. She may not realize how it feels when the work of your life goes to hell, but she knows exactly what it feels like to flee your home, escaping from war. She just pretends she's forgotten how it felt before. I had many projects. Within a month, there were none. Everything was clear to everyone. A novel that was almost nearly done was made redundant since the war began. Russia can't bear to think of the future to come. The movie Brother now plays again on TV. "Our brother," she wrote. "You dislike him only because I love him. Because he is strong and you can't be like him." But I personally think that the re-release of nostalgic fascist Brother is a fucking bullshit. Because its main appeal is to the miners working for pennies, to those who never dreamed big and never hoped, to those who were never heard because they were forced into exile again. It has zero appeal to progressive thinking people who now apparently are the nation's conscience. Under fire is not a blue-collar guy, not a miner, not a cop from the criminal drama on NTV, nor a scholar holding a college degree. A nation's conscience now apparently is the one who all his life was creating the future and did everything to overcome his inherited inborn ostracism, who did everything he could not to become a cold-curdled blob in a sick darkened flesh of a freezing country, but did everything to become instead someone like that lady or a gentleman at the Oscars who rightfully thank their own hard work and baldness, accepts the gold statue, descends to the first row to kiss their partner, bypassing all crime, self-pity, and nepotism, which apparently are the part of the show. Saying this, I thought of those young veterans I saw on the TV whose feet blew up just because they got drafted. I remembered how some important governor wished those heroes live on the federal channel to be soon back on their feet. I thought that we are to witness them again and again and again. We are yet to live with them, to avoid their gaze when we bump into them on the street, and tell ourselves something like, they're gonna be fine, they receive disability compensation and veteran benefits, they have their entire lives ahead of them, they're gonna be soon back on their feet. Continuing our slow-paced walks with the insecure tiny steps on a slippery sidewalk of fear, trying not to fall into slimy dark flesh of the country, squishing under our feet. Before the heart attack, I used to tell her, Mom, you fled from Tajikistan, from the homeland of all our ancestors, ethnic Russians. You know what war and homelessness means. You remember that Russia didn't defend their own. To which her reply was, times have changed. It's a different country today. I thought, Mom, you hold a PhD. You used to be a liberal politician. You taught me science, freedom, and justice. When did they wipe out your memory? As I was thinking, she was saying something about geopolitics, in which I apparently do not understand a thing. She was saying that she felt sorry for the Ukrainian people. She was saying it and weeping, rubbing her wide chest right where our hearts are. And this internal, insurmountable contradiction was so evident that geopolitics term is yet another dehumanization technique, distancing us from humane, personal, and empathetic, shielding the heart from breaking. Then, they got bombed. Mom wrote, the banks are coming from the Ukrainian side. They are so close that I decided that the bombs are falling here, that we are under attack. Glares of fire and clouds of smoke are near. So I said to your Uncle Sasha, let's go trim trees in the orchard and harvest some apples. If you're gonna get fucked, at least we didn't act like cowards. On the third day after the heart attack, she threw me a casual breezy message. She was sending me emojis of dinosaurs with painted up dog lips. They were saying, ha ha ha, and blowing kisses. She was chattering something about her apple orchard. And everything, once again, felt velvety, peaceful, just like after the Christmas Eve in my childhood, or maybe on Easter. Staying in Russia meant my flight fare was wasted. So, trip to my mom's was arranged with much haste. A few days before the war began, I wrote about her place. In the village, silence means fear. Silence is strangled at home by TV, by barking dogs on the streets, by meaningless yellings across the street. Where are you going? I'm going there. Okay then, I'm gonna stay here. Like mold coming through the fresh layers of paint out the wooden walls in our old terrace. Silence oozes into our minds again and again, and everything becomes helpless and bare. Just not long ago, our drunk neighbor fell silent in the drift of the snow, after which his alibi dog clamped its jaws on his hair and pulled his scalp off as the penalty for lying silent there. This dog is about the size of a calf, wandering on the outskirts of the village near a convenience store, miserable and hungry, waiting for someone to fall silent there. And everybody remembers that in this country, doesn't matter to whom, but you must talk to a snowdrift, an apple tree, cat, or a dog. Sing old Soviet song, speak, repeat, chant, folks in the village do nothing but chat about food, grass, pensions, Putin, then food some more, sing old songs over and over till they are sore, year in and year out, round and round, clearing the streets of the snow, only to watch it pile in, while blind ugly moles eat tulip bulbs on the ground, to once again paint the veranda green. They keep trimming grass in the field so that it will grow again 2 feet tall. They keep complaining, strawberries ain't sweet, just to plant the same seeds after all, to mix them after with sugar and sour cream, give to the grandkids to spoil, and say that these are the strawberries of our dreams because they've been grown in our soil, unlike these imported genetically modified organisms. They cook a lot of food yesterday so that there is nothing to eat today. They don't remember how they ended up this way. And even if they do, they forget, they say. They never manage to leave and find another way. Their land keeps them from moving away. Their grass keeps them from moving away. Their mold keeps them from moving away. Their snowdrifts keep them from moving away. Their strawberries keep them from moving away. Their songs keep them from moving away. Their pensions keep them from moving away. The huge alibi is guarding the way. It may happen one day that someone might reach the line, considering leaving the village behind. He'd walk to the outskirts, hear the silence, look at the alibi dog, and starts feeling defenseless and blind, and starts singing his old lullaby, that our strawberries are the best kind, that imported foods are poisoned and vile, when on TV, meanwhile, the psychics and Putin are driving the silence out, rescuing us from having thoughts in our minds. This song again turns everything round, and we can't imagine leaving this grass behind. The silence is deadly, it plays tricks on our minds. All this sounds absurd, of course. As we now know, in reality, death comes from a loud bang. All this is absurd, except maybe Putin driving the silence out by force. I wrote to my friend, there are so many things flying above my mom's house. If fighter jets, helicopters, that I just don't know what they're gonna do. A fighter jet is really fast. It crosses the sky swiftly. In a few seconds, but the noise remains in the air for half a minute. helicopters are flying above us all the time, apparently patrolling the border, or I don't know. They're flying like fat mosquitoes. Usually in pairs, like police patrol at the railway station. And hearing them is not scary at all. While I was there, nothing got bombed, or I didn't hear. But when they were bombing over there, Mom said that the missiles were so close, she could see they had wings. A military base is located right outside our village. And though I didn't see any explosions, I saw zigzag contrails all the way to the ground, as if many letters Z were combined in a huge garland. A missile strikes somewhere, but the explosion cannot be heard. That week that I came to visit Mom, we were laughing more than ever before. But I don't remember laughing so much ever since childhood. Because you never know what the future holds. These moles from the red list of the endangered species have begun digging again. We were joking while gardening that the moles are the saboteurs digging the tunnels in the direction of the Ukraine, and that we need to capture them and turn them into the Hague International Criminal Court at the expense of the state, of course. I'm gathering all the relevant evidence, joked Mom, on how you are oppressing me, which I'll send to Nuremberg. You haven't been to Germany yet? So, would you like to go? That could be arranged easily. And we were debating who represses who more. I don't know why, but we both found it very funny. We cooked a lot of food that day. Beshbarmak, kurutap, pilaf, coriander, cumin, and lots of pepper. Just like in the good old days. When I was a child, I loved when we used to lay our Dastarkhan tablecloths with our post-colonial feast and ate it with our bare hands, while listening to the sounds of the TV covering another endlessly long international conflict. It's just this time we were listening to the sounds of Airstream. I had to return back to Moscow. Even though I didn't want to go there at all. On my way, I was watching groups of people patrolling local train station with rifles. How they were stopping some other people to check their IDs. And we're detaining some of them to an unknown place. I was on the train with a group of soldiers who were returning from somewhere I wasn't aware of. They were stubbled and wore overgrown hair, but joyous. I saw a poor elderly man who was carrying an empty, worn-out bag over his skinny shoulder with the word Russia printed over it. I was also reading on the news that the Russian Orthodox Church pronounced one priest dead not far from the local town who was hit by a missile. I was worrying about Mom. When I feel really down, I secretly turn VPN on so that I can alert at Michael and Robin on Instagram. They are from Atlanta. I was looking, and two normal, happy men who openly live together as a family. Michael on the photos looks like my dad, whom I don't know. I wrote them in my diary. My dad lives in Atlanta. His name is Michael. He's got blue eyes and dark hair. And he's engaged to a ginger guy called Robin. And his Instagram profile says, "I'm not the dad you have, but I'm the dad you always wanted." And he really does look like my dad had he lived in Atlanta and didn't drink and didn't try to stab Mom with a knife or jump out the window. You are Southerner, just like myself. And that's basically it. Dad, I hope you're not wandering drunk in the night alone. I hope you're not attacking strangers on the streets, not getting into the bar fights. I hope that you always come back home after work to listen to Aguzarova, to Leps, to Vorovayki. I hope that Atlanta is a friendly place and it's warm. That's all I actually need to know. I arrive in Moscow and hop off the train. I'm walking through Kurskaya subway station. And I'm walking through beggars, homeless, disabled, and legless. But I'm not looking away, not avoiding their gaze anymore. And I'm walking to my Muscovitian privileged private college. Just as you'd visit an old flat just sold, thinking that you'll swing by for a few minutes to pick up some items left after, but end up staying to chat for the entire day. And I'm walking into the college's courtyard where the cafe is. Even though I'm not hungry, I don't want to smoke. And I pretend to not notice that some classes has been already eliminated from the schedule and what it implies. As I'm walking, I'm trying to preserve in my memories these faces that are still there. I can still see those who continue to do today what they believe was right to do yesterday. They are laughing, eating, making notes, and are discussing things. They're wearing peace badges and rainbow symbols. They make plans and continue to visualize the future. I'm walking to my theater then, in which I used to work before the war. After all, Moscow's most beautiful faces has been always hiding in private colleges and theaters. But if before they used to look like glorified talking exhibits, now they look like just Olga Buzova's cardboard cutouts from a cheap local Petorachka convenience store. Then suddenly, I feel an urge to get a flower. A red carnation would be my choice. Russia has suddenly become a cut-off flower, but its people need a voice. Despite still open and blooming, this carnation is feeble and has already begun to fade. Like Russia, red carnation symbolizes victory, death, and dismay. Since picking carnations from the street is believed to bring only bad luck and feelings bittersweet, I'll buy my own carnation. I want to be walking with it through the Moscow streets, supporting its delicate droopy head with my fingers, endlessly delaying the time when we'll have to part. I've always enjoyed dried flowers, like, for instance, cotton. From my mom's homeland in Central Asia. It's the motherland of many exiled Russians. Cotton flower doesn't have to die, and I don't have to witness its decay and watch its life end. It can be easily stored in the family's photo album in between the pages. It's not a pity to lose it, throw it away one day. Cotton is sleeping in the album, calm and unchanging, marking the division of times with its black stem. However, it's impossible to squeeze a living carnation, to squash Russia that is still alive in between album pages. So I will walk with it on the streets, supporting its sleepy flower head for as long as it needs, for as long as God wills, until its majesty time will do to us whatever is meant to be. I'll hold it tight, close to my chest, right where our broken hearts are. Because we all are one. And the motherland cannot split into two, into a good and a bad one, into a living and a dead one, into a healer and the killer. We are all the above. And there is no border. And anyway, there is nowhere for us to escape.
Yeah, let's open the floor for any questions.
How long were you working on this project?
We probably worked on it for about 2 months, but not continuously, because this project popped up. Like we were doing a previous production with RimoVision called Romeo and Juliet, One Killer Story, and suddenly this came across, and literally we probably did 3 rehearsals, maybe per week, for a couple of weeks, and then we go dark, and then we come back. So there was a lot of on and off with it. But being a one-man show though, it's easier. Like he still can go and practice at home. So yeah, so it's about two months, but not consistently 2 months.
Yeah. For me, it was 3 months. On March 17th, I was standing on the Duckweiler Beach during the election being held in Russia at the Russian political gathering called Noon Against Putin. And I was only dreaming at this time of acting in some Russian anti-war piece. And it was March 17th. And then at the Duckweiler Beach, thanks for Navalny LA and Russian Americans for Democracy in Russia gatherings, I met a person who told me about another person who is connected to the Moscow festival that was theater against the war. And that's how we start rolling together and putting together things. But I was working consistently, like 5 days a week, working on the monologue. So like 3 months of consistent work with a little break in between.
Was the piece written for this, or did the writer come up with the piece and you found it and produced it?
Well, no, so it was originally, yeah, it was written as a one-man show, if that's your question. But it was written in Russian. So the writer is currently, he escaped to Berlin.
He's in exile in Berlin.
Exile in Berlin. The translator's in England. So they translated it. And then when we received it to work on it, we still had to redo it for the American audience. So I'm not Russian. So
Really?
Yeah. so I'm not Russian. So when the American version of it came to us, it still didn't make sense to me at certain parts. So we had to kind of like still adjust some parts of it, and there's parts we choose not to adjust it to keep this Russian culture in it. Although an American viewer might not know what he's talking about, but you get the sense of it. Like the name of the store or the board cutout of the actress, which I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know it's somebody. So yeah, it was written to be a one-man show. Is that the question?
Yeah, if the material was written before you produced it, or had it been produced?
Oh,
prior?
right. I think it was written by one.
It was, yeah. So, like, the story is in 2022 when the war began, the famous Russian annual festival came out with this theme, Theater Against the War, and Sergei Davydov, our playwright, he was one of the works at the festival, but there was no staging, it was only readings. So it was developed in 2022, written in 2022, and it was translated the year after by Tatiana Axelrod in London for the readings in London. And then, it's an interesting story, by the way, because I've been provided with the library of over 500 works of that festival, Theater Against the War. And I started reading them. Some of them were translated to English, and some of them weren't. And I started, of course, with the ones that have been already translated, so to make things easier. And it was literally the second piece I read. And I was like, that's it. Like, I want to work on this one. And the person who was introducing me to the library, she was like, are you sure? Like, do you want to read? I'll read them all, but that's the piece.
Did you?
No, not yet. I was busy working. I will
You
though.
didn't read the other 498?
No, I only read 2 at this point, yeah. No, I was very consumed with this work, but once I'm a little bit open, yeah, I'll continue reading and looking through the library. But yeah, I knew right away that's the one I want to work with. And we're in touch with Sergei. It was a very interesting collaborative process. Me, Ray, Sergei, Tatiana, the translator, we were like circling around and trying to find new idioms or new. She's in England, so even she gave it like a British flavor in many words and vocabulary that she used. So we were trying to balance out like Americanization to the point that the audience will understand, you know, the majority of it, but also keeping this flavor of foreignness, Russianness, so that to give people a atmospheric vibe of what's going on back home.
How did you guys get connected and decide to work on this together?
I worked with Misha 2 times. So this show is presented by RimoVision Group. It's a non-profit theater organization. And Misha was an actor in something called Awkward Tale of Carrot. He used to play Adam with Eve. That was our show. And then he worked with us also as a stage manager at Romeo and Juliet, and that's how he went through audition through what is it called? Actors. Okay, so in the very beginning, he just went and auditioned like everybody in our first work, and we auditioned him, and he's a very nice guy to work with, so we needed a stage manager. And the second show, he's like, I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna learn to be stage manager. And this is how we met together, and here we are.
Yeah, I want to add to that I'm really, really grateful to you, Ray, and to RimoVision Group, because like it just all happened. We were circling around. We were like the last ones to get our venue for the Fringe, because it all came together at the last moment. It was never like pre-planned like that. So the last minute we get the venue, and they're like, yeah, and on the top of everything, you have to get an insurance. That's where I call Ray. And I was headhunting Ray at this point. So I was like, come on, like take on be my director. And he was kind of like, hesitant about that, I feel like. And I called him and I was like, hey Ray, I need an insurance. He was like, okay, we're gonna give you insurance. And that's how like I kind of crippled the border into RimoVision under RimoVision umbrella. And then shortly after, he was like, okay, I'm gonna be a director. And I was like, yes. So that was the first break. I didn't know, is it comprehensive for non-Russians? Is it like, will American audience accept us in their hearts? And like, is it material worth showing on American soil? There are so many question marks, and I'm so grateful to you, Ray, to like backing me up. And we had our ups and downs, and also Navalny LA group and Russian America for Democracy in Russia. Alex, our green designer and camera guy, Rima, like all the guys, a lot of guys are not here, Irina, are not here today, but 100% of this production is volunteers. No one got paid nothing. And 100% of this production is composed of RimoVision, Navalny LA, and Russian Americans for Democracy in Russia, which I could have not even dreamt of on March 17th. I had no idea who's going to back me up. I have no idea who's going to be stagehands. I had no idea about nothing. So I'm really, really grateful to you guys for making this happen.
When you just right now say, like, if it connects to the American audience, I can tell you that. I seen you practice, you know, with Ray a lot of the times, but I didn't connect until I saw you on stage. You know, it just brought me back home with my grandma, for example. I'm Central American, from El Salvador, and if you are aware, a lot of things have changed in that small country now with a new president. But the mentality of my grandma, 86-year-old, is not changing. You know, she still have hard time to adapt to that. It's a contrast because this is a positive change, right, in Central America, which in Europe is war, right? But the mentality of the elderly, it's hard to change. Even though in a positive or negative way, they have their mindset in different ways, and sometimes they don't know how to adjust. So it does connect. I felt connected with the story.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and that's exactly why I've chosen Sergei Davydov's piece, because it's anti-war, but it's about love. It's about love of the son to his mom. It's about the love of citizen to his country, about the human to the human being, no matter how hard it is and how generational gap is pushing us away, and this political polarization and all these atrocities of war are pushing us away. He was able still to find love in his heart, and that's what attracted me, and that's why this piece is on stage in Fringe Festival. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming.